How's it going, you guys? This is going to be part 2 of creation versus evolution. Now, today I'm going to be talking just for a brief moment because part 3 is going to come up next and it's going to have all of the detail. But today I'm going to be sharing my thoughts. Now, what I'm going to be talking about here is how I believe the earth was created. I believe that in the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. And the earth was without form and void, and darkness was upon the deep, and the Spirit of God moved upon the face of the waters. And I'm going to go down to Genesis 2:7. And the Lord formed man from the dust of the ground, and breathed into his nostrils the breath of life, and man became a living soul. Now you see, we were formed out of the dust of the ground, but the way that evolutionists bestow it, there was no creator to form us out of the ground. There was no creator to give us life. We were just formed from matter and stardust. I was listening to the debate on Bill Nye and Ken Ham. Now, they're two brilliant scientists. They're very brilliant. One believes in evolution, and one believes in creation. Now, what Bill Nye said was that we were descendants of Martians. And he said that's not crazy. But what Ken Ham asked him, well, is it crazy that we had an infinite creator God and that we are descendants of Adam and Eve? And then Bill Nye said, I don't know their names. I don't know if that was their names. And he said he's very skeptical about if there's a God or not. But there is a God. How could we form from nothing and become something? And how could we form from one cell and become many cells without the help of an infinite creator God? There's no way. It's impossible. Now, DNA, right? DNA is a language system within itself. It is basically the information to create life. Now, how could DNA be formed out of matter without the help of a creator? There's no way. We don't see it happening today. If evolution was true, we would still see the same thing happening today. Matter forming something out of nothing. We would still see the same thing happening today. But we don't see it. We don't see stars forming other civilizations. We see stars dying all the time. But we don't see them forming other civilizations. We don't see them forming life. We don't see them forming planets. We don't see anything like that. We just see them as glowing balls of gas in the sky, bringing heat, bringing light to the earth. We are not related to every other animal on this world. We are not related to stars. We are not related to Martians. If we were, then where would those Martians come from? And then you could ask this question to any atheist or any evolutionist or any scientist out there. They would say, we don't know, that's a big mystery. And they would say that's the exciting thing about science, the mystery. Well, if that's the exciting thing about science, why haven't you solved it? You made many theories, and then you would get rid of that theory and then make another theory. Get rid of that theory and make another theory. There's many theories out there about how we were created. We're descendants of Martians. Let's see. We're descendants of apes. We're descendants of stardust. We're descendants of one bacteria organism that formed on the earth. We're descendants of rats. There's many different theories out there about how we were made, how the earth was made. There's a whole bunch of theories out there, but they all disprove each other. If it was true, if that was true, one theory was true, then there wouldn't be many different theories. They wouldn't always be changing what they think if what they thought was actually true. We never change the Bible because we know that the Bible is true. We never change what God looks like because we don't know what he looks like. It says he's spirit, but he came down in the body of Christ. We know what Jesus looks like because people have seen Jesus when he was here. We know that there was a flood because we've seen so much proof out there that there was a flood. We've seen so many natural disasters out there. We've seen the Grand Canyon. The Grand Canyon was formed from that flood. We see the ocean. The ocean, I don't think it was that big. I think that there was less land before the flood. I believe that Pangea was all formed together before that flood happened. I mean, more land before the flood. I believe that Pangea was all formed together before that flood happened. And then there was a flood, and waters rose up from the earth and separated Pangea and made the continents all over the world. That's how I believe Pangea was spread apart. But that's the difference between evolution and creation. Evolution is just a bunch of theories and just a bunch of scientists trying to explain their theory and trying to basically say that they're right, evolution is right, creation is wrong, that what Darwin said was true. But they never seen any of this happen. It's just based on lies and what they think in their head. They say, oh yeah, we made computer models, we've done all this research, we've tested organisms, we've done carbon dating on rocks, and now we see the earth is millions of years old. But the carbon dating on rocks, guess what they used to do that carbon dating? Human-made material. And that material was made by their speculation on how old the earth already was. They don't go off of questioning. They don't go off of getting answers before they make a belief. They go off of a belief and then they get answers. But with creationists, they go off of answers and belief. They have the Bible, for example. The Bible tells you everything you need to know. How the earth was created, how man was created, how all these lines of ancestors were there before we were made. Before we got here. How everything happened before we got here. And how Jesus died on the cross to pay for our sins. But on the evolutionist side of things, we see a bacteria, then we see it forming into something else, and then we see it forming into something else, and then on down the line, we got apes, and then apes form into humans. Well, why do we see humans today? And why do we see apes today? Because apes are not forming into humans still. They never formed into humans. We were all made different. Humans were made different. They were made in the image of God. If we were animals, we could go off and mate with the cow. We could go off and mate with the sheep. We could go off and mate with the freaking rhino. We could go off and mate with a monkey or an ape. But We don't see that happening because we are not animals. We are people, and we were made in the image of God. And that would be wrong to see somebody mating with a pig. Half pig, half human. That would look awful. That'd be wrong. Alright. Now that is part 2 of creation versus evolution. Those are my thoughts. I'm going to end this off by reading a chapter from the Bible. Now, I know I haven't been going on with my playlist Bible beginning to end. So I'm going to be reading a chapter 18 from the Bible on this episode. But then on the next episode for Bible beginning to end, I'll be reading chapter 19. And probably chapter 18 just to put it on there so you guys can listen to the whole list. Alright. Let's continue. Sorry, I gotta get situated right here. And the Lord appeared unto him in the plains of Mamre. And he sat in the tent door in the heat of the day. And he lifted up his eyes, and looked, and lo, 3 men stood by him. And when he saw them, he ran to meet them from the tent door, and bowed himself toward the ground, and said, My Lord, if now I have found favor in thy sight, pass not away, I pray thee, for thy servant. Let a little water, I pray you, be fetched, and wash your feet, and rest yourselves under the tree. And I will fetch a morsel of bread, and comfort ye your hearts. After that ye shall pass on. For therefore are ye come to your servant. And they said, So do as thou hast said. And Abraham hastened into the tent unto Sarah, and said, Make ready quickly 3 measures of fine meal, knead it, and make cakes upon the hearth. And Abraham ran into the herd, and fetched a calf, tender and good, and gave it unto the young man, and he hastened to dress it. And he took butter and milk, and the calf which he had dressed, and set it before them. And he stood by them under the tree, and they did eat. And he said unto them, Where is Sarah thy wife? And he said, Behold, in the tent. And he said, I will certainly return unto thee according to the time of life. And lo, Sarah thy wife shall have a son. And Sarah heard it in the tent door, which was behind him. And Abraham and Sarah were old, and well stricken in age. And it ceased to be with Sarah after the manner of women. Sorry, I had to get a drink of my coffee. Now, see, the Lord appeared unto him, and he told him that Sarah was going to have children. And here's what Sarah did. Therefore Sarah laughed within herself, saying, After I am waxed old, shall I have pleasure, my Lord, being old also? And the Lord said unto Abraham, Wherefore did Sarah laugh, saying, shall I, uh, shall, sorry guys, shall I of a sure, so, shall I of a certainly bear a child, which am old? Is anything too hard for the Lord? At the time appointed I will return unto thee according to thy time of life. And Sarai shall have a son. Therefore Sarai denied, saying, I laughed, not for she was afraid. And he said, Nay, but thou didst laugh. And the men rose up from thence, and looked toward Sarah, and Abraham went with them to bring them on the way. And the Lord said, Shall I hide from Abraham that thing which I do, seeing that Abraham shall surely become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth shall be blessed in him. For I know him, that he will command his children and his household after him, and they shall keep the way of the Lord, to do justice and judgment, that the Lord may bring upon Abraham that which he hath spoken to him. And the Lord said, Because the cry of Sodom and Gomorrah is great, because their sin is very grievous, I will go down now and see whether they have done altogether according to the cry of it, which is come unto me, and if not, I will know. And the men turned their faces from thence, and went toward Sodom. But Abraham stood yet before the Lord, and Abraham drew near, and said, Wilt thou also destroy the righteous with the wicked? Peradventure there be 50 righteous within the city. Wilt thou also destroy and not spare the place for the 50 righteous that are therein, to be far from thee, to do after this manner, to slay the righteous with the wicked, and that the righteous should be as the wicked, that be far from thee? Shall not the judgment of all the earth do right? And the Lord said, If I find in Sodom 50 righteous within the city, then I will spare all the place for their sakes. And Abraham answered and said, Behold, now I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord, which am but dust and ashes. Now he was saying, and he was basically humbling himself and saying that he spoke unto the Lord, but he's dust and ashes. So he was not worthy of the Lord's reply. He was not worthy to speak of the Lord. So when he spoke to the Lord, he knew he wasn't worthy. He knew that he wasn't righteous enough. But he spoke anyways, and the Lord replied, which is amazing that he actually replied to Abraham. That's to show how loving the Lord is. Peradventure, there shall lack 5, and the 50 righteous. Wilt thou destroy all the city, and for lack of 5? And he said, If I find there 40 and 5, I will not destroy it. And he spake unto him yet again, and said, Peradventure, there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not do it for the 40's sake. And he said unto him, O let not the Lord be angry, and I will speak peradventure. There shall 40 be found there. And he said, I will not do it if I find 40 there. And he said, Behold now, I have taken upon me to speak unto the Lord. Peradventure there shall be 40 found there. And he said, I will not destroy for the 40's sake. And he said, Oh, let the Lord be angry, and I will speak yet but this once. Peradventure 10 shall be found there. And he said, I will not destroy it for 10's sake. And the Lord went away as soon as he had left communing with Abraham, and Abraham returned into his place. Now that was chapter 18, guys. Sorry, my throat is a little musky today. I'm having a hard time reading. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you can, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll see you guys next time, and God bless. Gee whiz. Sorry guys, I'm having a hard time stopping this.